Hi there, everybody. I am so delighted to be with you all today. My name is Dana Larson. I'm a sportscaster working in the Dallas Fort Worth market for the last 20 plus years, covering college and professional sports, and closest covering here over the last decade or so, the Dallas Mavericks. And through that, it has been my absolute pleasure to meet the one and only Cynt Marshall, who I'm so thrilled to have here with me today. Cynt, it is so great to be here. Congratulations. I'm thrilled to be here to give you this award.
Thank you, sister. And I am thrilled to be here. And I am so honored, honestly, to be recognized by the Women's Business Collaborative. And yes, I have my award right here. I'm so excited. So thank you, thank you, thank you. It means a lot to me knowing what this is all about. And Dana, it's so good to see you, sister. Oh, it's good to see you.
You too. And I always look forward to our conversations. And I know all of the viewers here today are about to know exactly why, because I have to tell you, Cynt Marshall is one of the most inspirational women you will ever come across. She's one of the most authentic, genuine, enjoyable people. And conversations with her are something that you truly never forget. So let me properly introduce you, if that is okay, for just a moment,
Okay.
because you have been a trailblazer in diversity, equity, and inclusion your entire professional career. But it goes even further back because your story is an absolutely amazing one. You overcame a tremendous amount of adversity in your childhood, went on to attend Cal Berkeley on a full scholarship, where you became the first official African American cheerleader in school history.
Go
Then
Bears.
then went on to build an illustrious career spanning nearly 4 decades at AT&T, rising to senior vice president for human resources and chief diversity officer, all while battling and surviving colon cancer. Then 5 years ago, you became a Maverick. How perfect was that?
Perfect.
So fitting was it. Hired by the governor of the Dallas Mavericks, Mark Cuban, to be the first Black female CEO in the history of the NBA. You have also been recognized by Worth Magazine as one of the most powerful women in the business of sports. And for your leadership and your powerful legacy as a role model to all women, it is an absolute honor to present to you the 2023 WBC Trailblazer in Gender Equity and Diversity Award. Once again, congratulations to you. What does this feel like? What does that mean to you to hold that award in your hands?
Oh my goodness, it means so much. I was just sitting here as you were giving that introduction. I'm thinking, okay, I need to take Dana with me everywhere I go. Okay.
You got it.
If for no other reason to make me just stop and think about how blessed I am, because this award means exactly what you just described. That for a long, long time, I've been trying to do the right thing, and I have been blessed to have some wonderful people in my life who also blazed trails for me and gave me a good foundation. And so I've been able to pay it forward, and now I sit here today with this amazing award. It's crazy. It's crazy. And I've gotten a lot of awards, as you can well imagine, but this one is extra special because it really does represent what I've tried to do especially in my professional career. And to your point, even before then, again, because tremendous doors were open for me. And so now I get recognized for it. So I just love what we're all about. I love what the collaborative is all about. And so I'm extremely honored and blessed.
Well, and the beauty of what you're doing so much now too is paying all of that forward. And that's what we get right here in a conversation like this. And many times you've been the first.
Yes.
You've been the first in many areas of your career. And I wonder what the essential lessons are that you've learned about leadership in particular, but especially with the added pressure of carrying that title with you of being the first.
Okay, so usually when I'm the first, and you've heard me say this before, I usually don't know I'm the first. I've just decided that it's something I want to do, or I've been encouraged to do it, and I just go for it. So when I was trying out to be a cheerleader at Berkeley. I was a cheerleader in high school. And just like when I went out to be a cheerleader in high school, I didn't make it the first time and I tried it again. Same thing happened in college. And I didn't know, that I was making some kind of, history. The only time I sought out to be the first was when I was our first Black senior class president. And that's because when I was at my sister's graduations, both of my sisters, I saw two men on stage, two white guys, and asked my mother if a Black girl could do that. And she said, you could do whatever you wanted to do. So I got one of my buddies and we just decided to run for senior class president, student body president 3 years later. And we made it. And we worked really, really hard. It was more than just, trying to do it. But that was the only time I really sought out to be first. Any other time, just like in this job, Mark Cuban heard my name and he called me and he asked me to do a job. We got on the path to do it. And I didn't even realize I was first until I was doing a national TV interview. And the guy asked me, how is it being the first African-American CEO of an NBA team? And I said, you got to be kidding. Because actually, I got the job in 2018. It was 2019 when we had the interview. And I said, there's no way I'm the first in 2019. And so then when I really thought about it, I thought, okay, I'm the first, but I won't be the last. And so I got to work really, really hard, like I always do, to make sure that it's just a no-brainer, that somebody will look at somebody who looks like me and say, yeah, she can do that job. She can do a big job. So I got to work really, really hard to take all doubt away. And then I've also got to take on the personal responsibility of making sure I'm not the last. So making sure I am working on that pipeline, that I'm opening up doors, that I'm embracing my colleagues so that they will want to have somebody who looks like me. So it's not pressure. Actually, it's an honor and it's an opportunity.
And I know so much of that came from the woman you mentioned, your mother, and she's obviously played a huge role in your life and helping you become the person that you are. She told you it's not where you live, but how you live, right? Early on.
Yes.
Even in the face of all of adversity, right?
Yes, that was her line. I mean, my parents left Birmingham, Alabama when I was 3 months old. And March of 1960. So I just told you my age, and landed in the San Francisco Bay Area in a public housing project. And they taught us it's not, my mother particularly taught us it's not where you live, it's how you live. And with God, all things are possible. She's still alive. She's 87 years old. I can still hear her saying that to this day. And she had us really focused. And she put 2 books in my hand at an early age, a math book in one hand and a Bible in the other, probably in that order, and told me really if I kept my head in those 2 books, I'd be okay. I'd make it out. And at the time, I'm a teenager, I'm a kid. I don't know what make it out means, right? But I found out later it meant make it out of poverty. And with all the things that we had going on, the adversity, the domestic violence with my father, leaving us when I was 15 with hardly anything, okay? My mother just told us to focus. And to this day, there are 4 words that I live by: dream, focus, pray, and act.
Let's fast forward now to February 2018.
Whew.
You've been retired from AT&T after that incredible 36-year career. Yes. And you get a call from a guy named Mark Cuban, who you didn't know, right, as the story goes, and almost weren't going to take the call, if I remember correctly. Can you share more about what happened when you ultimately did take that call, and what from your professional experience prepared you for this jump to the NBA?
And you're right. I almost didn't take the call because I was busy. I was on a call with one of my clients. I had retired from AT&T and started my own company. And my cell phone was just blowing up. And my husband said, I gave my husband the phone because, I had these kids in college. And I said, one of the kids need money, handle it. And he came back and said, this dude doesn't need any money. It's Mark Cuban trying to reach you. And as the story goes, and I should be embarrassed to say it, but I'm not, I didn't know Mark Cuban. Okay. And so when he called my son, so they convinced me to call Mark back. And I actually went to see him. And it was after I put him on hold. I couldn't see him at the time. He wanted me to see him because I told him I was having a mammogram. So I couldn't see him right then. And I have learned the hard way, as you know, what happens when you don't take care of your medical business, being a colon cancer survivor and all that, because I didn't get a colonoscopy when I should have. So I just told, no, I got to focus on this. He didn't hesitate. I finally saw him that late afternoon, and he was so genuine and sincere about what was going on at the Mavs and wanting to have a transformation of the culture and really wanting to create a great place to work for his employees. And he knew that I had done similar work at AT&T. I got my name from somewhere. And I had told him I had to go home and think about it and pray about it. And two women stopped me as I was leaving his office. Just the power of the sisterhood speaking up. Two women stopped me and told me their stories. And all I could think about, and they used the word impact. They said, we really think you could come in here and have an impact. Marcus told us about you, blah, 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 blah. And that word impact stuck with me because that very morning, February 21st, 2018, I had actually posted a blog entitled Impact. And it was because when I got up that morning, these teenagers were protesting in Parkland, Florida because of the gun violence at the school. And then this 99-year-old, the Reverend Dr. Billy Graham, had passed away. And I found myself age-wise smack dab in the middle of these people who were impacting my life and who had impacted my life. And for some reason, I was all emotional, and I wrote this piece around impact. And the pieces around what act, ACT at the end of impact, what was my next act? What was it that I was going to do to really impact lives and make this world better? And then I posted it. And then a few hours later, I got this call from Mark. And then as I'm leaving his office, these two women are standing there using that very word. So that was like a sign for me. I really probably can impact this place. I don't know exactly how, but something is working here. The next day I came, I was in the building for 3 hours. He didn't even know I was there. Dana, I was in a conference room. People were talking to me, telling me their stories. I just started falling in love with the people there and just knew, with the help of a lot of different people and all of us rallying together, that this was a place that I was just meant to be. And I'm so glad I said yes. It has been a blast, and we have made some great changes and done some great work together.
You went to work right away. You knew you had to have a plan. You had a goal that the Mavericks would set the standard for DEI and professional basketball in 1 year.
Yes.
So how do you go about creating, and the most important part is maintaining, right? A
Yes.
culture of inclusion in an organization and honestly an industry that had a lot of catching up to do.
Yes. And of course, I'm walking into this industry not knowing anything about the business of basketball. I was a fan, so I didn't know anything about the industry, the league, or anything. But what I did know is that there are just some things that you need to do to transform and sustain a culture. And so we started out, as you know, from that press conference, laying out a vision. And you just stated what that was, that we would be the leader in diversity and inclusion, because I know the business case for diversity. I know what happens when you have a diverse group of people, when you have women and others at the table making decisions, when you have diverse suppliers, all of that. So I know what happens. Okay. So it's a business thing. I also know what happens when you stand on a set of values. And so the values that I laid out in that press conference, and they are still operating at the Mavs, they spell crafts: character, respect, authenticity, fairness, teamwork, and safety, both physical and emotional safety. And what I told our team is that these values would not just hang on the walls, but they would operate in the halls. This is values-based employment going forward. Everything we do would be based on a set of values. And no, we won't get it right every day, but we'll stand on this foundation. And so I tried to role model it, bring people around the table, leaders that would role model it, we just did all kind of stuff. And so we still, it is institutionalized now. It is who we are. We talk about our crafts all the time. And in fact, next week we have our big crafts awards where the employees actually nominate other employees that demonstrate these values on a regular basis. So the whole thing is awesome. So we make it a part of what we do, part of our code of business conduct. And we spend a lot of time looking at all aspects of diversity and inclusion. And it's actually what I call the fee for admission, FEE, because what we're really focused on is fairness, equality, and engagement.
Well, and like the audience that we have today, I'm sure all throughout the organization with the Mavericks, you have many different women at various stages of their careers. And not only do you want them to be able to grow, you want them to turn into leaders as well, right? So, what
Yes.
kind of advice do you have for them in terms of following your example of building those pathways towards becoming successful leaders?
Woo! Dana, you always have the good
You like
questions.
that one?
I love that question. Okay, and I call it going all in. Okay, so write this down. You have to go all in. And the reason I say in is because every word I'm going to mention actually starts with IN. So you have to lead with intent, being very intentional about women at the table, about everybody at the table. I mean, women and men and anything else. Okay, just you have to have everybody represented. Leading with inclusion. I mean, making sure that people aren't just invited to the party, but they're asked to dance. Okay, they're just not at the table, but they're actually included. They're understanding the culture. You know who they are. They know the rules of engagement. They can actually participate, because inclusion is really about giving people an opportunity to participate. Then lead with insight. What insight can you get from all of these people? And I always like to talk about the diagram where you have people on both sides of it, and one person sees a 6 and one person sees a 9. Somebody else might see a G, but it's the same diagram. But it's all about the sides, what the where people are standing, but also about their backgrounds and their perspectives. You need all that insight from everybody to really run your business and to create the kind of climate you want. And then lead with inspiration. And to do that, you have to know kind of what inspires you. What people often ask me, what keeps me up at night? I say nothing. The question for me is, what gets me up out of bed in the morning? Like, I'm inspired to go and serve these people. I'm inspired to go and just serve every day. So what inspires you? And then you take that and you inspire other people. It starts with people being inspired to produce every day. And then the most important thing is to lead with integrity. Character matters. Do what you say you're going to do, and then always do the right thing.
We're asking all of these amazing trailblazers to share with us their call to action. How can we increase women's leadership across all sectors of business? And I know you're already ahead of that game because you laid it out in your book for us. So tell us more about your call to action and what it means to business, to women in business on just a daily basis, how to use it every day in the workforce.
Yes, I think the call that I would really like to put out there, especially for us women, is to keep our hearts, our eyes, and our hands open, because we have so much to give, so much to bring to any situation. And sometimes that has to actually be informed by what we see and what we feel, what we hear. All of that together will help us determine where we will put our hands. The job that I'm in now, I didn't plan on being in this job. I didn't even know this job existed. But some things happened that I was aware of, and especially those women talking to me that day and Mark's words. I mean, something happened in my heart and in my head, and I know what I saw, I know what I read. And so that determined what my hands needed to be doing over the next 5 years. So be open. We have no idea what path is ahead, but we are equipped. We are absolutely equipped to make a difference in this world. So just be open to what's next. Don't feel like we're ever locked in. We don't know where we get to bring our authentic selves to show up to make a difference in this world. So be open.
My heart is open right now. Thanks to you, Cynt, so much. I told you all this would be amazing, and I know everybody enjoyed this as much as I did. Congratulations to you on the award. Well deserved. And thank you so much for your time. Look forward to talking to you again soon, Cynt.
Thank you, Dana. I love you, sister. I'm honored. Thank you.
You too. You too. All the best. And thanks to everybody who has joined us today. I certainly hope you all enjoyed it as much as I did.